Financial Survival Network, helping you to survive and thrive in the new economy. Get our complimentary newsletter at financialsurvivalnetwork.com. This is the Financial Survival Network.
Financial Survival Network is presented to you by Regal Assets. Buy and sell physical gold and silver through your existing retirement plan, 100% tax-free with Regal Assets. If you want to include physical gold or silver in your existing IRA or old 401k, request your free investment kit, which was recently featured in the Forbes and Smart Money Wall Street Journal magazines. Call toll-free 855-678-6620, 855-678-6620, or visit regalassets.com. You are listening to the FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com. I'm Kerry Lutz on 1590 WPSL, and it's time for another Triple Lutz Report. This is episode 253. It is April 8th, 2013. Shout out to my sister. Happy birthday. 3 stories to talk about today. You know that whenever government does anything, there's theft, there's corruption, which is why our founding fathers wanted limited government, because they knew that the more things government gets into, the more corruption, the more theft there is, the more taxes you have to pay that are wasted and stolen. And nobody out there, nobody except the current occupant of the White House, can debate these facts. This is the truth. Even George Washington, when he was fighting the Revolutionary War, complained about the military being overcharged for the most common things, for food, for clothing, for blankets and horses. Everybody charges the government through the nose. They try to get through this with competitive bidding, and every week you hear new corruption scandals about the government being ripped off. The only way to avoid these ripoffs, these government ripoffs that cost you half your income, paying taxes that don't go where they're supposed to go, is by limiting the scope and the function of government. And my next story perfectly illustrates this. A convenience store owner in Daytona, Florida, his name was Bassam Sel Abu Diab, whatever that is, 55, same age as yours truly, owned a convenience store in Daytona Beach, Florida. And he had a great deal for food stamp holders or EBT card holders. EBT card is just electronic food stamps. It's a prepaid debit card that gets filled up the first of every month. Millions of people around the country. Some places, some states have spread out those payments so that they don't have rushes on local supermarkets. We always used to make a joke when we went to Costco and we'd see it would be packed the first of the month. Oh, well, the checks are out. But anyways, I digress. So this guy hit upon this brilliant idea. I will buy EBT cards from my customers at 20 to 40 cents on the dollar. Then I'll go down the street to the local Publix or whatever the supermarket is, and I'll buy up all of my needs and stock my shelves at a steep discount, and I'll make a fortune. And they don't know how much the guy stole. What was really interesting, however, is that this is the guy's second time being caught. So the government knows the guy's a thief. They know he's been doing this before. They've caught him doing it, and yet here we go again, theft. And this is why you need the government out of business. You need them to dramatically scale back their operations because they are incompetent at doing everything. And you suffer as a result because you pay increased, inflated taxes, you lose your freedoms, and you know all this because you've been listening to the Financial Survival Network for quite some time. Hey, don't forget, if you're looking for gold, looking for silver, go over to regalassets.com, Tell them Kerry sent you. You do that, they'll waive some setup fees. It's a great deal, especially if you're looking to convert your IRA or 401k into precious metals. The metals prices, they're getting beat up again, but they're getting close to $1,600 on gold. Silver is in the 27s. And according to Charles Nenner, this is the month where they make their low and they start their ascent up to gold 2,200 and silver, who knows, but probably a new nominal high, no doubt. So the next story, we're going to talk about the Department of Homeland Insecurity. Big Sis, Janet Napolitano, not one of our favorite people here on the Financial Survival Network. She looks like Big Brother from 1984, except Big Brother was a guy, and she is what she is. So there's been hundreds of articles on the internet, and you know that one of the things I love to do is debunk articles to prove them wrong, and even when I'm taken in by them, which I have been by DHS. Supposedly DHS purchased 2 billion rounds of ammunition, and in-depth analysis of all this in Breitbart purports to show that no, they're not hoarding ammunition. The government is not hoarding ammunition. They can buy up to that amount, but in point of fact, they buy several 100 million rounds over a 5-year period, and the contracts are written to let them buy up to that amount. Now, Breitbart might be right on this account. One thing they can't explain is why is the DHS using hollow point ammunition for target practice? I mean, hollow point costs more than regular full metal jacket ammo, the type of ammo that you or I would use if we went to the shooting range. And if the government's trying to save money here, why do they need all this hollow point? Why are they using it for target practice? It's highly unorthodox. I personally am not sure that the story really is a myth that Breitbart claims that it is. I mean, if you have your thoughts on it, send me an email because I'm just not sure about it. One thing I am sure, though, is that I don't believe the Homeland Security Department is out there to protect you, to keep you safe from terrorist attacks and, to keep you safe from meth dealers and whatever hell else they're doing. They're doing random stops on highways, which incidentally, if they stop you, ask them what their probable cause is. Ask them why they're stopping you. And if you get high enough up, they will let you go because they have no right to do it under the Fourth Amendment. So don't subject yourself to a random DHS search. Yeah, you go to the airport. It's been ruled legal by the courts there. On the highway, don't do it. Obviously, if you have something illegal in the car, you can't afford to be so confrontational to them. But just a thought and something you need. But the other thing about DHS is no one's disputing that they bought somewhere between 5,500 and 7,000 fully automatic assault rifles. Those are like the AR-15, only they shoot multiple rounds with one pull of the trigger. And imagine what that could do unleashed in a shopping mall or whatever. The other thing is no one also has disputed the fact that they have gotten over 2,700 light tanks from the Department of Defense. And these light tanks are these so-called mine-resistant vehicles that were used in Afghanistan and were used in Iraq, and basically they're using them to serve warrants, and they're using them for SWAT teams in certain cities across the country. So maybe DHS doesn't have quite so much ammo. Breitbart doesn't exactly go into an accounting of all the ammo they've bought since 2003 and how much they've used. So there still is a potential that they could be sitting on hundreds of millions of rounds of ammunition, but I can't tell you that for sure. There's certainly, when you see something so many times on the internet like this story, you should always question it. You should always be questioning everything. That's what George Carlin said. I totally agree with him on that one. So, and don't forget, you're looking for real estate investment, Jason Hartman, great guy. I like him. He's on the show regularly, sponsor of the show. Good person. He's got a formula for you to make money on real estate, not to buy real estate because it looks pretty or tax benefits, but you actually get a positive cash flow and you get great tax benefits from it as well. At the same time, really good investment. I'm in favor of getting your money out of currency, whether it's digital or whatever. I think it just makes so much sense. And eventually, when the system resets, you will own a large portfolio, if you keep buying it, of real estate, and it'll help you survive and thrive in the new economy. And finally, I want to talk about Obamacare because it's coming. It's coming to a hospital near you. It's coming to a doctor near you. My contention here is it's an epic fail. I don't believe it's going to ever be implemented in its current form. And recently been researching it, and they have just blown this thing so badly. Aside from all the computer code that has to be written, the 70,000 pages, somewhere between 20 and 70,000 pages of regulations implementing this stupid thing, so many unintended consequences are coming into play. I mean, it's just amazing because if you're a business, small business, if you have 50 or more full-time workers, then you have to purchase a mandatory insurance policy that's got free contraceptives, free exams, free this, free that, and it's going to cost you a fortune. So if I have 52 employees in my company, what am I going to do? What would you do? Would you just stay with 52 and then see your costs go up? If you could, you would lay off 3 of them, so you'd come in at 49. Or you would make a couple of them part-time workers, if that's possible. The amazing thing is, if you don't buy them the insurance policy, you just pay a penalty of $2,000 per worker. So if you were going to pay for their insurance, or you used to pay for it, you just pay the penalty, you give them the difference of what you were paying for insurance and the $2,000. So if you were paying $10,000 for their insurance, you give them a raise for $8,000 and say, go buy insurance. And then they're supposed to go to these healthcare exchanges, healthcare insurance exchanges, and they're supposed to go buy their own insurance subsidized from the government, except that 26 or 7 states have refused to set these exchanges up. They want no part of it. They don't want any involvement in it because they know this thing is corrupt and it's going to fail, and they want to stay away from it. And it's just an amazing thing because the study says that more than 40 million workers are going to lose their employer coverage due to these perverse incentives. And look, you know it, I know it. We all work on the carrot and stick system. If you're going to do something and you might get hit with a stick, you might lose money, or you might have adverse consequences. Generally, you don't do it unless the risk is worth it. Same thing with incentives. If you wouldn't do something, but somebody pays you to do it otherwise, and it's worth the extra money to do it, then you might just do it. And that's what's happening here is, and it's intentional, the government, Obamacare, has created incentives for employers to drop coverage, to not pay for their employees' coverage. That might be a good thing. It might be a bad thing. Another thing that's happened is Obama campaigned that he would save people an average of $2,500 per year on family coverage. In fact, insurance coverage has gone up by $3,000 per family average. Mine has gone up about $5,000. It's just incredible. So many other things, negative outcomes from this, you just can't believe. The guy from Aetna, He's the CEO. He believes that health insurance premiums as a result of Obamacare are going to escalate dramatically. And the Holtz-Enkins American Action Forum, whoever they are, in their survey, they studied 5 cities and believe that Obamacare will result in premiums increasing by an average of 169%. So if you think you're paying a lot for insurance now, just wait, because it's going to happen. Now, another thing, the mandate, which says you must buy insurance or you will be fined, right now, there are no consequences. If you just, the logical thing to do for anyone is this: drop your insurance and buy it when you get sick. Because what they've done is they provided for mandatory coverage and community rating. Mandatory coverage means at any time, if you're sick or otherwise, and you want an insurance policy, they have to sell it to you. So why have an insurance policy when you're well? You save a lot of money, pay a few doctor bills a year, not a big deal. You get sick, you get cancer, heart disease, whatever, then you go and get the policy. And the other thing, which we've had in New York State for years, which is why our insurance costs are among the highest in the country, health insurance costs, is community rating, which means that you don't get rated individually based upon your health and the risk that the insurance company will have to pay out large sums for your health. No, you get paid, you pay your premium. It's based on the community at large, which is thousands or millions of people. So combine that, and the fact is that the penalty for not having insurance, they can't garnish your wages. They can't levy on your property. That will change. I guarantee you, if this policy, if this Obamacare continues on, they will be able to garnish your wages and levy on your home. I guarantee it. That's the way these things work, because they'll say, oh no, the problem isn't that this program's flawed. The problem is that people just won't do what they're supposed to do. They're just not playing by the rules. So we have to make you play by the rules. That's the way this works. Senior citizens, man, forget it. And I won't even get into the death panels. I mean, you're going to have increased waiting times. You're going to have rationing. And you're going to have more people without insurance. And it is just going to be the worst of all possible worlds. When people start to see what happens, when the implementation begins, there's just going to be hell to pay, and it's going to lead to a collapse of the system. Now, the question is, will the economy collapse before Obamacare or after? I mean, the collapse is coming, probably a year off, according to Nenner. It's going to be dollar-based. It's going to be a currency event. There's no question about it. So I kind of concur with our new contributor, Captain Capitalism, which is whatever happens, just enjoy the decline. Don't worry about it. It's somehow going to work out. This thing will be abandoned. There is no choice. There will be no money for it. And it's an epic fail that cannot possibly work. So if you're there worrying about it, don't worry. Be happy, because there's nothing you can do about this anyway. And you'll just have to get by the best you can. But Obamacare is not going to be a major factor a few years down the road. I guarantee you it will be gone. There is no other choice. Healthcare touches you closer than any other government policy. And when you start seeing the things that they're doing here, you will just not put up with it. And most people will not. And it's going to become this political time bomb. It is now. And it's going to result in dramatic scaling back of all of Obamacare. I'm convinced of it. That's whether the court acts or not. They've got 2 cases in front of them now. If John Roberts grows a set, we'll probably see it struck down. If he doesn't, it doesn't matter. The end result is preordained. This thing is collapsing before your very eyes, And that's what's going to happen. So, hey, one other thing, don't forget, stock up for emergency preparedness food, preparewise.com. Use the discount code Lutz, L-U-T-Z, for free shipping. Hurricane season's right around the corner. You need to have a few weeks' supply of food no matter what happens. When this thing comes crashing down, you don't want to be out there on the streets having food riots like Running Man, like Arnold Schwarzenegger in modern L.A., in the future. You need to have your food there. You need water, 5-10 gallons of water in your house at least. One thing I've got in my house that's pretty cool, I'm renting it, but the people who left it for me, they've got rainwater barrels. Now, right now, they're disconnected. When things start getting a little crazy, I'm going to reconnect these rainwater barrels. And you know what? You take the rainwater, you use a water filter, you purify it, and you can drink that stuff. That's where water comes from, the rain clouds. So I highly recommend that. Highly recommend having gold, silver, means of self-defense. It's essential. Don't forget to do that. And go over to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. A lot of information about these topics. Sign up for the free newsletter. You'll automatically be entered in the contest to win 10 ounces of pure silver. Don't miss out. Okay? It's a lot of fun. We have so much great stuff on the Financial Survival Network because we have Stefan, the human aggregator. And Stefan combs over hundreds of publications every day to bring you the latest news, to bring you useful information, to get you prepared, to get you ready for what's ahead of us. Because trust me on this one, you will not believe where we are going to be in a year or two. You will have never believed it to be possible, but it's going to happen. We might miss most of the bullet, most of the hurricane, but we're going to get part of it, and it's going to hurt, and you need to be ready. This is Kerry Lutz. Been another Triple Lutz Report.
Fortuna Silver Mines is now a show sponsor. Under President and CEO Jorge Ganoza, it's quickly becoming a world-class silver producer with 2 operating mines and extensive property holdings in silver-rich Peru and Mexico that will help fuel future growth. Started in 2005, it's gone from just 5 employees to over 1,500 today, while keeping its commitment to social and environmentally responsible operations. As of the third quarter of 2012, they've hit 80% of anticipated silver production of 3.7 million ounces and 94% of expected gold production of 17,400 ounces. By mid-2013, the production rate forecast is 5 million ounces of silver and 26,000 ounces of gold. Fortuna is currently seeking accretive M&A opportunities in the Americas. Fortuna is a proven winner with rapidly rising production into the foreseeable future. Their ticker symbol is FSM on the New York Stock Exchange and FVI on the TSX. For more information, click on their logo link on financialsurvivalnetwork.com or go to fortunasilver.com. Join Fortuna Silver Mines' record of outstanding success.